How's it going, guys? Stas here. Welcome back to another video. So we're going to break down Nvidia stock in this one, go over the charts, how we're looking today. We'll also break down some insider trading going on and go over the options chain. I want to go over what I'm looking to buy right now, trying to get ahead of the rebound that I think we're going to get in the short term. But first, guys, hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel. We're on the road to 100,000 subs. And check out my second channel, which we're doing a cash giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. That is linked down below. It's more of a personal finance reaction video channel, right? We talk about, debt, credit cards, personal finance, the whole 9 yards. Different from this channel. That is linked down below. Again, make sure to subscribe. We're doing a cash giveaway at 1,000 subs. And with that being said, guys, cheers. Let's dive into it. So at this point in time, it's about almost 1 p.m. on the East Coast, and we have Nvidia stock down again. We're down 3.5%, trading at almost $106 per share. And earlier this morning, you guys can see we hit $103 per share, taking out the lows from last week, which you guys know that's pretty obvious that we're doing that, right? And you can see on this 30-minute chart, we took out the lows from obviously the last 10 days. On the 1-hour chart, you guys can see now we're pretty much at the lows from earlier in March. We hit about 102.20-ish earlier in March, and now we're at 105, 106. But again, earlier this morning, we hit $103 per share. So we're pretty much at the lows now from earlier in March. And on this 4-hour time frame here, guys, we can see we're at the bottom of the channel, pretty much there. And in my opinion, we might take out $100 by the looks of it, and we might be going down to $90, $95 in that window. But ultimately, we're going to be setting ourselves up for a relief rally. That's what I'm thinking. Similar to what we got about 2 weeks ago when we went from 102 all the way to 123-ish. You guys remember that? I think we're going to get something similar. But the $1,000,000 question is obviously when, and will we take out $100 before we get the relief rally? I think there's a good chance we do that, and I'm going to be buying some call options to play the rebound, similar to what I did last time, Nvidia got oversold. You guys remember that? I bought probably a little bit too far out of the money, but I bought the $130 calls when Nvidia got crushed last go around, and those expired, I think, in July. And I might consider buying those back, maybe not at $130, maybe a bit of a lower strike price there, maybe more close in the money, but we'll take a look in a second here. Either way, I'm looking to buy calls on this rebound, right, to kind of leverage my gain there. And of course, you guys know I own the stock long term as well. I've been buying shares, stashing them away, right? Been buying a bunch of shares recently, and I plan on buying more. But for the rebound trade, I want to get into call options. That is the goal, at least as of now. And of course, I'll keep you guys updated on what I end up doing. So before we actually break down the options chain, let me show you now what insiders have been doing. Let me pull this up right here. And by the way, guys, join the free email list if you haven't already. I send out my top stocks weekly right to your inbox. That's linked down below. It's free. Make sure you guys get in there. So there hasn't been much activity in 2025 so far, but I guess in March we have seen some decent activity, but up until March, really nothing, to be honest. Only one trade. Looks like here in January, looks like Ajay Puri, Worldwide Field Ops EVP, he sold 1% of his position, really nothing, but he sold it at a great price, $151 per share. He sold 37,000 shares, about a $5 million move. So this guy owns a ton of shares still. That's not that big of a deal. But in March, we've gotten some more sales. About 2-3 weeks ago, a director, it looks like John DeBerry, he sold 2,600 shares, a $292,000 move. That was a 13% reduction in his position at $110 per share. We got another sale, Robert Burgess. Looks like here, director, they sold 18% of their stake, about $6 million worth at $115 per share. That's a bigger move. The EVP and CFO, Colette Kress, she sold 66,000 shares. Looks like actually more like an $8 million move there. Sold 1% of her position. Nothing crazy, right? Then this is the biggest one. A director here, just about 10 days ago, we got this news, right? Looks like RT, I think I'm saying that wrong. I definitely am. But RT Shah, she sold, I'm pretty sure that's a girl, maybe not. I don't know, whatever. They sold 20,000 shares, 27% of their stake at a $2.3 million trade, and they still own 53,000 shares, but they sold a big chunk, 27% right there. And we got another sale, Donald Robinson, looks like here, principal accounting officer. They sold 4,500 shares, $500,000 worth, roughly a 1% reduction in their stake. Not that big of a deal, but that is what's going on with the insiders. Nothing too crazy other than the one director selling 27% of their position. That's pretty sizable there, guys. And looking here at the options chain very quickly, when I'm buying calls, guys, I don't like buying calls that expire in a month, right? I like giving myself some more time, a couple of months minimum. So I'm going to be looking at either the June 20th or the July 18th calls. So let me pull up June 20th, for example. We can see, obviously, the further out of the money you go for the novice options traders out there, the cheaper it's going to cost for you to get into those contracts, but obviously the less likely you're going to make money. But if they do expire in the money, you're going to make a ton of money if you're right, if they're far out of the money. But, we're not going to bet on a crazy rebound in Nvidia, but we are going to bet on, a little bit of a rebound here. So I'm even looking at ones like the $115 calls that expire in 81 days on June 20th. You can get in a contract here for $680. There's a lot of open interest there. I'm looking at potentially the 110s. These are closer to the money. They're not in the money, but they're pretty dang close. Those are $880 for a contract. Good amount of open interest there. And if you want to go in the money, guys, you can even buy the $105 calls right now for $11.15. So multiply that by 100. So you're looking at $1,100 investment there to buy a contract. And if we get a nice rebound in Nvidia stock, you can make some good money. I'm pretty sure Robinhood even shows you here based on where the stock goes, how much money you can make, right? So let's say, for example, what are these again? These are the $105 calls that expire in June. So let's say, for example, Nvidia got to $120 a share. By that point, you could make potentially $400 expected profit on this position, right? These are the ones that are in the money pretty much. So you can play around with this depending on what brokerage you use, and you can see kind of how much money you can make. And there's obviously other options, calculators out there to give you an idea of what you can make, right? But I'm looking at those, to be honest. And if we go out a little bit further, July, and obviously the further out you go, the more you're going to have to pay because time is essential with options. So $105 calls, you're looking at $1,200 of an investment there for a contract for the 105 July 18th ones. If you're looking at 110, a little bit more out of the money, not too crazily out of the money though, you're looking at about $1,000. So that's kind of what I'm eyeing up here. Maybe put a couple grand on these different, depending on which one I go with. But I'm looking to put maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 grand on this trade, and could potentially make some good money on that on the short-term rebound. But timing is critical. Timing is critical, and I'm not going to jump in quite yet because last time I bought these calls, I actually got in a little early. I'll be honest with you guys. You probably remember that if you've been watching. I got in a little early, but I still made money. I still made money because I was patient, and I bought calls that expired months and months out. So I had the luxury of being able to be patient, right? Which is key. But I'm going to wait a little bit more. If these come down, if the shares come down to $100, maybe 98, 95, that's when I'm going to strike heavy on the call options. And the idea is not to hold them until expiration. That's not the idea. The idea here is to play the short-term rebound. And if we get the rebound, boom, I'm going to be in and out of these calls like no other. Take my 20, 30, 40% profit and keep it pushing. That's the idea. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe here on the main channel. And my second channel, my personal finance reaction video channel, which is actually doing very well, guys. The views are climbing up. The content's great. We're doing a 1,000 subscriber cash giveaway, so make sure to go subscribe using that link down below if you guys want to. Obviously, I'm not going to force you to do that, but if you want to, feel free to go do that and get your 30 stocks from Moomoo. Today is the last day that you can take advantage of that. Use that link down below or go to stocksurfs.com/Moomoo. Deposit at least $100. You get 5 stocks. Deposit at least $2,000. You get 25 more stocks, and your uninvested cash for now will earn up to 8.1% APY. Guys, it's a no-brainer, so use that link down below or go to stocksurfs.com/Moomoo. And with that being said, cheers. I'll catch you guys in the next video.